Hello, it's me, Arden Lee. I'm back for another video today, and today I want to talk about how to ask for what you want. Something that in most cases is easier said than done. But first, if you have not done so already, I would love to invite you to subscribe to my channel. I'd love to invite you to hit the like button on this video and all my videos, or whichever ones you feel called to like. But connect with me. I want to see your comments letting me know what's working for you, what's not working for you, and any topics that you would like to see me address. Let's stay connected. So, how to ask for what you want? Well, this video might be a bit of a misnomer because, in truth, asking for what you want can be quite simple once you understand what you want. And that is actually what is the hard part. Hi, Virgil. Virgil wants to be petted right now, apparently, and he has no problem asking for that whatsoever. What's so insidious about the ways that our needs tend to be handled as we're growing up is that we are often made wrong for wanting the things that we want. And that happens to us during our childhoods as we're growing up, with our major caregivers, whenever our needs are referred to as silly or selfish or otherwise counterproductive to what the family needs to get done. If you want to have dessert before dinner, then you are dismissed as being foolish, etc., etc. And certainly, as I've said in other videos, it is absolutely part of our major caregivers' jobs to guide us in the direction that our impulses are working toward our highest good. So it's not always great for us to to have dessert before dinner when we're kids because we need healthy nutrition, right? But there are too many instances in which we're growing up in which our parents' needs, specifically in very selfish ways, are put way before our own needs as children, and not just our preferences or what we want to do or where we want to go, although that in itself can sometimes be enough. But often, sometimes, even before our own safety. There are certainly parents in the world who are neglectful, who shame their children for having any needs at all, even when they are depending on their caregivers for survival. So the real underlying issue that I come across in 98% of people who have trouble asking for what they want is sorry, I'm getting notifications. Is actually feeling safe enough to discern what they want in the first place, and having an understanding that their wants are valid and their wants deserve to be heard, and feeling into their bodies to feel what it is they really want. So often, the things that are closest to our hearts, those things that we think are too good to be true, are our dreams growing up as children, and we're told that we're being foolish or we're being frivolous. The world, slowly crushes those things out of us and says, be realistic. You can't, just grow up and be a rock star or whatever. You have to go and make the family proud, or you have to settle for something that is more attainable, right? And we keep those things and we think, oh, well, I'm not allowed to think about that. I'm not allowed to think about those things that I want because other people around me who have settled for their own disappointments in life, who have settled into things that were more reliable or more predictable or what have you, more seemingly stable, that were not connected to the dreams that they have. They're just trying to save us from our own disappointment. So even when their intentions are good and they're trying to say, I'm saving you from what you really want by giving you something that's going to be easier for you to achieve, and they think that they're helping us, but they really don't know that they're disconnecting us from our own sense of our fulfillment or our desire by equating our desire with shame. Shame that we want something that we're being told we can't have, or we shouldn't have, or we shouldn't try to aim for because either we're not good enough or the chances are too slim or what have you. So really, in the vast majority of people that I encounter who have trouble asking for what they want, it's really not about asking it. It's about finding it in the first place, especially if you're someone who's dealt with relationship abuse or relationship trauma, whether that originated in your own relationship, in your own, um, you know, uh, uh, in your own, um, romantic relationships, or whether that trauma originated from your parents. It doesn't really matter. It still happens where something comes up and it's hard for us to tune into what we want, because it just becomes so much easier as we grow up, and as our needs are and our wants are quashed down by those around us who are trying to get us to conform in order to make their lives easier. It just becomes easier for us. It becomes the path of least resistance to start being a people pleaser and attending to their needs, instead of checking in with our own bodies and figuring out what it is that we actually want. So I remember when I started becoming conscious of the fact that I had a problem asking for what I wanted. I wasn't even thinking about what I really wanted at the time. I was like, well, let me just practice asking for some things that maybe are easy or whatever. And I remember, I was seeing this guy, it was back in 2013, and it didn't last very long, but I had this moment where I was like, I should ask for something that I want. So I asked him to make me a cup of tea. And I actually have a really strong energetic relationship with someone making me a cup of tea. It's something that my mom always used to do for me when I was a little girl, and also a ritual that we shared with my grandmother, with my mother's mother. That the making of tea and the serving of tea was something that you did as an act of love. And I noticed the first time I got into a relationship and my partner made me a cup of tea, it really struck me in a way that he wasn't anticipating. He was like, "Wow, all I did was make you a cup of tea," and I'm like, "No, that's wonderful. It feels really good." So I asked, just as a way of practicing, knowing what I wanted and expressing that. I asked this person, "Hey, would you make me a cup of tea?" And immediately he was like, "Yes." I can do that. It's so wonderful when we ask for what we want, because we actually empower our partners to make us happy. But as I said, really the trick is not in the expressing so much. It's the fact that tuning into what we want can feel dangerous for us at all, because we're faced with, first of all, this idea of, well, what if we don't get what we want? Then we're going to be disappointed. And we've had these people around us trying to protect us from disappointment our whole lives by trying to, talk us out of things that they feel are unrealistic or whatever, not realizing the way that all of these things can conflate. And we end up with these, we end up not being able to ask for what we want at all, because we can't feel into that. So when I really recommend to people, if you're struggling with asking for what you want, is first ask yourself if you know what you want. Is that the issue? Is it not so much about speaking up? Is speaking up only the second half of the battle? Because I guarantee you, once you start feeling into what you want and realizing that you deserve to create a life that is in alignment with what you want, and once you start to realize that nothing else and nobody else around you is as important as staying true to your own desires, as long as you're not hurting anyone else, obviously, and I think, like, I don't have to explain ethics to you here, but if you are taking care of yourself and you are following your own bliss and following your path, that in itself, should not be harmful to other people, because if they're not in alignment with the way that you're choosing to live your life, or the route that you're going down, then they're allowed to take their own path, and they're allowed to part ways with you. So releasing that attachment to whether people are right for that or not, because ultimately, if you're not an energetic match, if you don't have that compatibility for the lifestyle that you are creating, that you do want, then of course the most generous thing is to let that person go, so you can live the life that you want, they can live the life that they want, and you will each attract the people who are right for that kind of life that you are creating. It's actually one of the most generous things that you can do. Of course, you have to get to a point where you are no longer afraid of losing people, and understanding that the people who really truly love you and support you will support you doing what you want with your life, and creating your own reality and going after your dreams. And if they try to make that, into something that they're going to demonize you or villainize you for, then they really were never right for you in the first place. Or if they just drift apart, they maybe, love you and support you from afar and say, hey, I get that you want to move to Paris and become an artist, I want to stay here and do my business. That means that we part ways, but, I love you, I support you, and I see you, and I wish you the best on your journey. There's people tend to think that endings like that are really big tragedies, but they're actually really beautiful when two people can part ways and still love and support one another from afar as they go on their individual journeys. So really feeling into your body and asking yourself what you do want and putting a word to it. And if you break it down into those two steps and saying, let me find out what I want first and let me feel into my body and feel what I'm really craving right now, and then I can give it a voice. Then I can give a way for this want to manifest into reality. And then all I have to do is ask the person if they're a yes to creating that with me. And if I release myself from the attachment of whether they're a yes or not, and I'm able to let them go if they aren't, to let them go with love, and not have to have that a big source of conflict. Or I can just go and get my needs met somewhere else. Maybe I want to play chess right now. And, maybe Virgil doesn't want to play chess, and that's fine. Maybe I ask Virgil, hey, do you want to play chess with me? And he's like, no, I'm a cat, I don't play chess. Then I don't have to take that personally, and it doesn't mean that I was rejected. It just means that if I want to play chess, I'm going to go and find a human to play with who is into playing chess, and I'm going to find a way to get that need met from someone else without personalizing it or making it that person's responsibility. But then the asking of it becomes a lot less scary because I'm not afraid of that no anymore, right? So I just asked what I wanted, and oh, he's purring. It's really cute. So I just asked for what I want, and I remain detached from the outcome. I remain detached from the answer, and I recognize that I really appreciate the truth of someone telling me what they're willing to do for me and what they're not, and then I can make my decisions accordingly. So really, it's not even that it's so hard to voice what we want. What it's really hard to do is it's hard to adjust to the fact that our needs are not actually dangerous to us, that we're not going to lose anything by stating our boundaries, stating our needs and our wants and our desires, that anyone we end up parting ways with as a result of that, that we're safe now. We're not kids anymore who constantly have to seek their parents' approval for things. We're able to make our own decisions for ourselves, and the people who are right for us will come into our lives. We are not looking to just, one or two people anymore for our survival. We can take care of ourselves, and we can call in the life that we want. So I definitely encourage you, feel into your body, feel into those things that you want, and give them voice, and take it in that two-step process. It's the feeling into it first, and take time to do that. And once you can put words to it and you can articulate something that you do want, then it just becomes a matter of expressing it. And once you're there, once you're actually at that point of being able to sorry once you're actually at that point of being able to make that work, then giving voice to it is just the next logical step. So I wish you luck in that, and let me know how it goes for you.